There's a place in Rowan County where the rock bleeds rust, and the woods stay quiet long after the wind has passed. It rises like a broken tooth from the earth just past Clearfield, Kentucky, called Clack Mountain. Locals say it hums. Hikers say it watches. And those that have gone up there alone don't always come back the same. This is the story of Clack Mountain, a place of shadows, secrets, and something that never wanted to be found. Welcome to Kentucky Melody, where the wind speaks in riddles, the shadows stretch too long, and the things that watch you ain't always waiting for dark. Now, Clack Mountain ain't no gentle rise. It's a jagged, bone-white backbone jutting out of the earth like it's trying to shake loose something buried deep. That whole ridge is made of old limestone, laced with veins of twisted iron and breathing cracks that run so deep, folks say you can hear the mountain groan at night. Some reckon the rock's alive. Others whisper it ain't the stone itself, but what's been trapped inside it longer than we've been walking upright. Back round the winter of 1934, an old trapper by the name of Mason Dillard went missing up there, lived in a clapboard shack near the tree line. When folks went looking, they found the cabin door hanging open like it'd been kicked in, but there weren't no sign of a scuffle. Pot of stew still bubbling on the fire. A cup half drunk. Quilt tossed back like he just stepped out for some air. But outside, down the slope, they found his boot prints, clear as daylight, heading toward a narrow ravine where the fog never lifts. And then, nothing. Boot prints just up and ended. No drag marks, no tumble, no scat or animal signs. It's like something plucked him clean out of this world. Weeks later, his rifle turned up, stood straight up like a headstone in a hollow log. Barrel rusted, but the stock still dry like it ain't seen rain. And moss was already growing over it, like the mountain took him and left that rifle behind as a warning. Folks round these parts started talking heavier come the 1970s, back when the devil worship scare was sweeping the country like wildfire in dry brush. Clack Mountain, well, it was already feared, but that's when the stories started shifting from whispers to full-blown panic. Teenagers from Moorhead would dare each other to drive up there after midnight, saying if you parked real quiet near the tree line, you'd see strange symbols carved into the stones, some so deep it looked like the rock had bled rust. Circles, stars, shapes that don't belong to no church I've ever known. They found trees burnt black at the base like lightning struck 'em, except there wasn't no storm. And at the heart of the woods, they come across what looked like an altar made of stacked stone. Fresh wax still pooled in the crevices like someone had just snuffed the candles. Now, one girl, Heather Graves, she went up there with her boyfriend just trying to be brave. They found that stone ring, and she swore she saw a woman standing in the dark between the trees, floating a few inches off the ground. Said she had no eyes, just deep pits where the stars themselves looked back. They laughed at her, thought she was stirring the pot. Till the car wouldn't start. Engine was dead cold, not a cough, not a crank, but every flashlight and phone in their pockets still had full charge. She ain't never been right since. Dropped out of school, packed up, and left the state. Her mama said she'd wake up screaming most nights, hollering about the pale woman in the trees and how she followed her home. They say you don't go looking for things up on Clack, 'cause sooner or later, They start looking back. Now, the old folks round Clearfield still whisper the name Susan Richardson, though they won't speak it after dark. She weren't no ordinary woman. Some called her a healer, others called her a gypsy witch, depending on whether she cured your baby's fever or cursed your kin with rot. She lived down at the foot of Clack Mountain in a lean-to shack draped in wind chimes, bones, and blue bottles hung in the trees to catch spirits. Weren't no man that could scare her, no preacher that could shame her. But that ain't mean the town didn't try. One summer, the preacher's wife took sick. Belly swole up and turned black for the harvest moon. Folks blamed Susan, said she cast some hex after the preacher mocked her in church, and not long after, Susan disappeared. They say the sheriff found her shawl snagged on a bramble near the cliffs, but no sign of her body. Dogs wouldn't track past the ridge, and the rock where her scarf lay never grew moss again. Just stayed cold and bare, like something scorched the life out of it. Now, here's where it gets downright chillin'. Hikers, mostly out-of-towners not knowing no better, say they've seen a woman in white drifting through the trees near the summit. Pale skin, long black hair blowing in a wind that ain't there. Her mouth's stitched shut with something that looks like twine, and her eyes ain't eyes at all. Just blue glowing holes where the soul ought to be. Legend says if you speak her name out loud while up there, she'll follow you home. Not in the daylight, no. She comes in your dreams. And if you dream of her 9 nights in a row, they say your spirit starts slipping, like something's pulling it through the cracks. And on the 10th night, you don't wake up. Some call her a ghost. Others say she's become part of the mountain. A watcher, a warning, a curse in human skin. But all agree on one thing. You don't call Susan Richardson, not unless you're ready to pay the price. Now there's a stretch of woods near the ridge line where the trees grow tight and twisted like they're trying to pull away from something deep underground. Folks call it the vein line, on account of the iron that runs through the rock. But it ain't just metal in them hills. No, sir, that's where the lights start. Ain't lanterns, ain't fireflies, ain't nothing natural. These are little orbs of blue and orange, about the size of a fist, drifting slow between the trunks. They don't blink, they don't flicker. They just float, watching. People say they'll follow you for a spell, then dart off like they're leading you somewhere. Most folks know better than to go after 'em. But one fella didn't. Name was Jacob Withers, geologist out of Louisville. Came up with all his fancy tools, charts, gadgets. Thought Clack Mountain's humming and weird magnetism was geological anomaly, whatever that means. Last anyone heard from him, he'd radioed his assistant round dusk saying, I think I see lights. I'm going to follow him. They found him the next evening, curled up in a clearing. Gear scattered, eyes wide open, muttering to himself, lips blistered from biting down on him. Took 3 grown men to get him out of there. He said he'd followed the lights into a grove where the air felt thick like syrup, and the wind stopped blowing completely. There were 6 cairns, little stacked stone towers, each with carved circles and deep scratch marks, almost like they was moving. He bent to take a sample and said the ground beneath him, it breathed, and that's when he saw it. A tall figure, kneeling between the trees, arms too long, head tilted sideways like a hound sniffing him out. No face, just a hollow where a face ought to be, He ran till his lungs gave out and swore the thing never moved, just stood there watching like it didn't need to chase him, like it had already marked him. He don't talk to nobody now. Lives in a trailer out in Harlan. Won't go near trees no more. Sleeps with a lantern burning and salt poured in a ring round his bed. Now, down near the belly of Clack Mountain, tucked back in a gnarled holler where the sun don't touch and the ground never dries, lies a patch locals call Dead Shade. Ain't marked on no map. Trees grow too close, leaves too thick. You'll feel it before you see it. Air goes still, like the woods holding their breath. Birds don't sing there, not even bugs chirp. And the breeze, well, it stops short at the edge like it's scared to go in. They say the trees in Dead Shade lean inward, like they're watching something down below, something that don't take kindly to visitors. It was October of '97 when two brothers, Eli and Ransom Tucker, decided they'd spend the night in Dead Shade just to prove folks wrong. Boys were tough, worked coal, carried knives, thought ghosts were just stories old folks told to keep 'em home after dark. They set up a fire in a canvas tent, cracked some beers, and started laughing at the whole idea of cursed woods. But then they heard it, crunching in the leaves, soft, slow, coming from just beyond the tree line. They thought it might be a deer till it stopped and laughed, but not like a person, more like a child trying to copy a grown-up's laugh, high and wrong, like it learned it from listening, not living. Eli stood up, called out, "Who's there?" What answered wasn't a voice. It was another laugh, only this time it was right behind him. They turned, but nothing there. The fire flickered like it was scared, and the whole holler felt like it dipped a few degrees. They ran, didn't even take their gear, stumbled down the path back to their truck, hands bleeding, eyes wide. Swore something chased them without ever making a sound. Something with footsteps that never touched the dirt. Next morning, a search party went back up, found the tent ripped from the inside out. Not torn by claws or storm, shredded like someone panicked trying to escape from something already in there with them. No tracks, no animals, just a perfect circle of scorched grass where the fire had been. Eli don't speak on it. But Ransom, he told his pastor one time, said he still hears that laugh sometimes, late at night when he's trying to sleep. Said it don't sound like a memory. Said it sounds like it's waiting. Now, whether it's ghosts, witches, watchers, or something much older that sleeps beneath the stone, one thing's for sure. Clack Mountain don't forget. Folks vanish, lights appear, and if you stand too long in Dead Shade, you just might hear something breathing behind you. It ain't a place that scares you with noise. No screams, no chains, no Hollywood jump scares. No, Clack Mountain scares you quiet. The kind of fear that don't shout. It settles in your bones, waits in your dreams, and whispers, "Come back." So if you ever feel the pull, that quiet little itch in the back of your mind to wander up those ridge lines where the moss won't grow, where the trees lean just a little too far in, ask yourself one thing. Are you climbing up that mountain, or is the mountain coming down to find you? Now it's your turn, y'all. Have you ever felt like the woods were watching you? Do you believe Clack Mountain's haunted? Or is it just a place where the veil between worlds runs thin? Drop your stories, your thoughts, or even your warnings in the comments. We read every one. And if this tale of the holler chilled you to the bone, give it a like, subscribe to Kentucky Melody, and share it with someone brave enough to hike Clack after dark. Because here at Kentucky Melody, the woods don't whisper, they remember. The dark don't hide things, it feeds them. And the moment you think you're alone out there, that's when it's already behind you.